Hello and welcome to another Steps of Sussex channel episode. Hello and welcome to all of my Sussex Steppers. It is Wednesday the 11th of March 2020 and we have some fairly unusual news to be talking about today. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has been caught up and embroiled in a hoax prank call, a Russian hoax prank call. So I'm going to be reading some of the transcript of this. I've heard different people say different things about the actual length of the call. Some people have said it's a very long call. I've actually only got to hear clips of it, so we'll be talking about that. Also, we're going to be talking about Meghan, who is said to have returned back to Canada. And Harry has stayed on, and also we have some other things to talk about as well. So hello and welcome. I hope you've all had a really amazing, great day. As always, this is a live chat, and any links that I do share in the live chat, I will put in the description once I've finished this live stream. So you can follow if you're watching on catch up as well. I will be reading lots of viewer comments. So let's go straight to the chat and see who is here. We have 82 people watching already at the outset. It would help if I turned my volume off so that I can't hear any reverb going on. Hello to everyone. I can see you all in the chat. Right. Okay, shall we just get... Oh no, let's start with some other news first while we wait for people to come. And then we'll get into some other news. So, I'm going to share a link to the Sussex's Instagram account, which is still called Sussex Royal. They haven't updated the name yet. So I'm going to copy that link and share it into the chat room. Video as well of Meghan and Harry for the Queen's Commonwealth Trust. But I'm going to read what they actually put on their Instagram account. So they put, sharing an outtake from filming last week. So everything was filmed last week when they were here, obviously, in the UK. For the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, of which they remain the President and Vice President. That has not changed. That was in the Queen's personal gift to give, and the Queen has not taken that away. As the Duke and Duchess of Sussex met with young leaders in their roles as President and Vice President. Visit our stories to see the Queen's Commonwealth Trust highlights from the discussion with these inspiring individuals and find out more about the amazing work they do at the Queen's Commonwealth Trust. And again, the outtake photos are really lovely. We have a black and white one. Harry looks really relaxed. His hands are clasped. He looks very, very happy. You know my feelings on body language experts and lip readers. A lot of the time they have conflicting views on what body language means or what was said in lip reading. I did read one account of the body language in this clip, and it definitely said, and I kind of agree, I think it shows Harry kind of projecting himself. He's putting himself out there. He's, showing off what he knows. Playing to his strengths, and another person said that Meghan seems to be kind of sat back and almost kind of joyously watching Harry and enjoying what he is doing, and almost being, I suppose, very, very proud of him. And in that first photo, I think I can kind of see that. I can see Meghan looking very, very proud of her husband, and Harry looking very, very relaxed. And if you move on to the next photo, Meghan very much looks like she's supporting Harry, which I think looks really, really... It's sweet. It's really, really sweet that you can see, a newly married couple, obviously so much into each other and just really supporting each other with what they do. And I think you can see that kind of exudes from these photos and also in the video as well. Let me know what you're all saying about that. Let's have a look. Oh, Unique K says, I guess it wouldn't change until the end of the month. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting once March the 31st is up, I imagine there would be a bit of a well, no, they didn't call it rebranding on the website. I think they said a refresh. So I think we'll see refreshed social media at the end of the month. Obviously, probably on the 1st of the month. Sonia says, hello, Jersey Girl here. Dare I say you look divine in green from the last episode. Are you missing my dress? Are you missing my cape dress? Well, hey, I'm here. If you are a designer and you want me to wear your luxurious frocks that I can't possibly afford, you can send me them. I have a PO box. Send them in size 0, because that's my size. 0. Yeah, so send them in size 0, and I will wear whatever outfit, whatever designer, beautiful, gorgeous Meghan replica, or even anything that Meghan's been wearing, I will wear it for the channel. I do not mind, including hats and handbags and shoes and all kinds of things. So, hey, definitely send me stuff and I'll wear it, because I can't afford it. Right. Charlotte says, the nasty stuff from sources in papers again today. There has been a lot of stuff, but we'll kind of wade our way through that as well. Livia Miller says, I don't think that was Harry in the phone call. I listen. Okay, shall we just move on to the phone calls? I know everybody wants to talk about the phone call. Okay, so I listened to a 2-minute extract from that, which I found on YouTube. Well, actually, I didn't find it. One of my moderators found it because I was looking for the complete call. I can't find the complete call. It's probably out there somewhere. I don't know if the complete one was posted and then taken down. If anybody knows the whereabouts of the complete phone call, apparently it's about 47 minutes or over 40 minutes long, do post the link to me in a comment, and I will, obviously after this, I will go and listen to the whole thing. But I have seen several minutes of clips, of extracts from it, and of course I have read transcripts from it, which I'll be reading in a moment. I have to say, I've listened to the voice. Again, I was very, very critical of the whole story, especially with it originating from Russian pranksters. Now, these Russian pranksters have been known to target people in the public sphere before, and they have done that successfully. They have penetrated loads of defence to be able to get at the people that they're trying to get at. And it seems to me that Harry has been a victim of these prank hoax callers. They posed as Greta Thunberg and her father. And of course, if Greta calls with all the environmental work, of course, that Harry and Meghan have been doing, you would kind of probably speak to her. I don't know how they passed themselves off as Greta Thunberg and her father, but they did. I listened to some of the clips, and I have to say, I do think it sounds like Prince Harry's voice. Obviously, recorded voices over a phone call are going to sound a little bit weird, a little bit distorted, but I've listened to Harry many, many times, as I'm sure you have, in speeches, on TV. All of the right inflections, all of the right tone of voice for me listening was there in that. Also, obviously, newspapers, journalists have contacted Harry, Harry's people in Canada for comment, and they have refused to comment on this issue, which kind of tells me that, there hasn't been an outright denial that it was Harry in this call. If it hadn't have been him, I think he would have come out directly and just said, no, it's a fake call. That wasn't me, analyse the voice, blah, blah, blah. So I think because they have refused to comment on it, it probably is a real prank phone call. And, these people are very wicked. They are not nice people. They try and trick people into telling them things. And then they share that with the world. They are not nice people. They did not have good intentions, but nonetheless, the call was made, and apparently this happened on New Year's Eve, and it was over 2 calls. So on New Year's Eve and again on January the 22nd. So they actually got through twice. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what Greta's father sounds like, so I don't know how convincing it was to Harry, but it seems like it was convincing enough for him to think that it was actually them. Now, before I go on any further, I'm going to kind of read what people are saying. PN says, you think that they found the landline number for the house? Yes, apparently the calls were made to the house they're staying at in Canada. Annie says, quite rightly so, no comment doesn't mean that it's confirmed either. True, that is true, but I just think if it was completely not true, I think he'd have just said, no, it's not true. But we will wait. I mean, we have to keep in mind, you know, again, at the back of our minds, that it may not be true, but everything's kind of pointing in the right direction for me to think that it is possibly true. But of course, if something comes of this, that, you know, if Harry does issue an announcement saying that this is not true, then of course we will talk about that as well. Mo says, I said didn't cost a life like the last prank phone call when George was born. Yes, if those pranksters had been charged, this prank would not have happened. Yes, I remember those. It was the Australian radio show, I think it was. They called the hospital where Catherine was having Prince George, and the nurse obviously got reprimanded because she passed them through, or she nearly passed them through, and she tragically ended her life because of a pranks call like this. And, you know, I hope that that's not going to happen in this case to anybody, but it just goes to show that these kinds of calls, these kinds of prank calls, although funny to some people, are extremely damaging and dangerous and can destroy lives. They are mean. They are really, really mean. And I know people are going to have their own opinions on whether this is true or not. Live, Love and Laugh says, not nice. Harry was tricked, but it has happened to so many prominent people, so no biggie. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing on Harry's part to have been tricked. He was tricked. Anyone can be tricked and pranked and fall victim of, basically, I suppose, what is, you know, kind of almost a crime in a way. You know, this is deception. This is definitely deception, and anybody can be deceived by people. Edith says, Harry proved to be a good man. He did not say anything bad. We will read. I'm going to go through what he said. Mrs. Pilling says, those hoax calls should be illegal. Imagine not being able to have a private call without fear. Yes, and again, you know, it's no excuse, but these kinds of things go back to the days of Charles and Diana. We've had, you know, Charles and Camilla phone calls, phone hacking. We've had Diana and Charles, just Diana on her own. We've had all kinds of things. It's no excuse, but this goes back a long time, and I agree. I think something needs doing about this. Theodosia has donated $19.99. Thank you so much. You are amazing too, and you get a Sussex fan flap and a kiss from me. CD says, how did the news find out? The Russians published it, I think, in its entirety, but I didn't get to see it in its entirety. And now I can't find the whole thing. So whether it was taken down, I can't find. If you can find it anywhere, if someone else has copied it and reposted it, do let me know, because I do want to hear it. But there are still clips on YouTube of little portions of it, so you can kind of find out that. Sharona, it is in my area. There has been one confirmed case, and that was yesterday. In the whole area, just one. But yes, it is here. Hello to Reverend Darlene. Right, I'm going to go straight, I think, to the transcript of different sections. So this is not the entire in its entirety. This is just a transcript. So on stepping back as senior royals, Harry supposedly said, you can call me whatever you want, Harry is fine. Asked about stepping back, he said, that's probably a conversation for another time. There's lots of layers to it and lots of pieces to the puzzle. But sometimes the right decision isn't always the easy one, I can assure you. Marrying a prince or a princess is not all it's made out to be. And this decision certainly wasn't the easy one, but it was the right decision for our family. The right decision to be able to protect my son. And I think there's a hell of a lot of people around the world that can identify and respect us for putting our family first. But yeah, it's a tricky one. But we will start a new life. You know, again, you have to bear in mind that Harry thinks that he is talking to the genuine Greta Thunberg and her father. So that is why, he is being, so open. He would not be saying this if it was, a journalist sat in front of him. But nevertheless, what he's saying is completely true. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying. Speaking about their new life in Canada, he says, "Oh no, I think it's much better than royal life. You forget I was in the military for 10 years, so I'm more normal than my family would like to believe. But certainly, being in a different position now gives us the ability to say things and do things that we might not have been able to do. And seeing as everyone under the age of 35 or 36 seems to be carrying out an activist role, gives us the opportunity to try and make more of a difference without being criticised." On not being able to use the HRH and the loss of all the different royal privileges, he said, no, again, you mustn't believe what you read. No one has stripped us of our titles because of a technicality within the family. If we are earning money separately from within the family structure, then we obviously have been asked not to use our titles in order to make money, which we would never do. But the press managed to jump on that to make it look like we had been stripped. Now, I will say, on this point, again, these phone calls were recorded over 2 dates. New Year's Eve and, of course, the 22nd of January. So I think they're kind of mixing up the quotes in these transcripts. Obviously, he would be talking about stepping back from royal duties on the 22nd phone, on the January the 22nd phone call, not the New Year's Eve one. So some of these may be a little bit out of sync, but you can probably work out which comment was made on which phone call by the content of the comment. So on their charity work, he says, "I think at the moment my wife and I, we were being directed towards starting a foundation, but we actually decided there is probably enough foundations out there doing amazing work. And there's a hell of a lot of money being passed around the world, and there are so many problems. But we thought we'd just take a moment and see if there was some form of other organisation or a different entity we could create that could bring people together rather than us just starting a foundation. We don't think the world needs necessarily another foundation from us. So we are just taking a little bit more time to think about how we can use our platform and how we can use our voice to try and encourage real change and real difference as opposed to, small incremental changes. As we all know, the world's problems seems to be getting bigger and seem to be happening far quicker. I think the solutions are far quicker to enable as well, but there needs to be a real shift in mindset. We try and do our best. I've spent many, many years being criticised by the media for doing all sorts of things and trying to change the way we think. And I can sympathise, but at the same time applaud the work that all of you are doing, because it's not an easy time and the world is a troubled place and can be very easy to give up. And I think what you guys are doing, absolutely remarkable. Again, remember, he thinks he's talking to Greta and her father. He also speaks about the President of the United States, saying, "The mere fact that Donald Trump is pushing the coal industry is so big in America. He has blood on his hands, but Trump will want to meet you to make him look better, but he won't want to have a discussion about climate change with you because you will outsmart him. Whether you have an option to meet President Trump or an option to meet Boris Johnson, I think it's far more important to have an open dialogue and have conversation with these people than not." Speaking about his uncle, Prince Andrew, he says, "I have very little to say on that, But whatever he has done or hasn't done is completely separate from me and my wife. We operate in a way of inclusivity and we are focusing on community, and so we are completely separate from the majority of my family. On Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, he says, I think he is a good man, so you are one of the few people who can reach into his soul and get him to feel and believe in you. But you have to understand that because he has been around for so long, like all of these other people, they are already set in their ways. They believe what they want to believe. They believe what they have been told. What you are now saying to them is not only inconvenient, but is completely against everything they have ever believed. So that is what you're up against changing habits, as you know. On the climate, he says, unfortunately, the world is being led by some very sick people. So people like yourselves and the younger generation are the ones that are going to make all the difference. People need to be woken up, and the only way to wake people up from what effectively is a consciousness crisis is, I think you need to be doing extreme things. What you need to do is make real big changes that actually shock people, and it's that shock factor that wakes people up. On the election, I think he's referring to the British election. He says the fact that our choice was between those two individuals, in my mind, I think probably creates more of an observation that the system itself might be broken. There's a lot that the leaders of today can learn and can listen to people like yourself. On using private jets, he says, unfortunately, there is very few alternatives. We have to fly on commercial planes all over the world. Nowhere near as much as most people who do it for a night or weekends. Certainly, for my family, to protect my family from these people, as you can well understand, I have to put protections and safety of my family first, and these people are never ending. On the media, he says, the best advice I can give on that is to be able to see through the fear. What they don't understand is the battle we are fighting against them is far more than just us. So I think what I've always believed, one of the strongest ways to change mindset and be able to raise consciousness and be able to create self-awareness amongst people is to challenge the media and say you have a responsibility and you are accountable for everything you are feeding people because you are brainwashing people. So this is far bigger than just us. Then there was a slightly odd conversation about Greta marrying Prince George. Let's just read it and see what it says. So the fake Greta was heard to say, she's a distant member of the Swedish royal family. Harry replies with a chuckle, oh wow, so we are related. Greta says, yeah, it's true. And if it will help me in fighting for climate change, should I arrange a dynastic marriage? Do you think? I think it'll help. The Prince Harry is heard responding, I am certain it'll help. The giggling Greta, then the fake Greta, then said, I found some candidates that suits me, James Windsor and Prince George. Their ages, I think, are very suitable for my marriage. It will help. Harry then replies, laughing, I'm sure I can help. I think that section was a bit of a joke section in the conversation. Again, having not actually heard the tone of voice behind it, it reads to me more like a tongue-in-cheek type conversation. And of course, the fake Greta and fake Greta's father are trying to get things out of Harry that are quite provocative. And I don't think Harry, even though he thinks he's speaking to the real Greta, I don't think he's baiting any of that. And so far, I don't think he's said anything that is out of order. On moving penguins to the North Pole, a Russian translation of the words shows Greta asking, now we are dealing with an issue of moving penguins from Belarus to their native land, the North Pole. About 50 penguins were stuck at customs in Belarus. That's terrible, and we are searching for some ship, maybe to transport these poor penguins to their native land. Greta's fake father then said, North Pole, perhaps you have some contacts for people who can help us. Harry replies, I do have a man who deals with the North Pole. He's in Norway. He can help as many as he can help as maybe he knows all the right people. I'll give you the contact's email. The recording ends with Greta saying, that's nice, that's good. And that's all I have in terms of a transcript. Again, if you have a link to the full phone call, do of course let me know. Oh, apparently I have another donation from Gessie. who has donated $19.99. Thank you so much for your kind donation. Your support means the world to me. Mwah, thank you. Right, I'm going to go and see what people are saying about all this. I know I've just kind of spoke at you for a long time, so I'm just going to kind of read what people are saying. So, Levia says, I agree, it doesn't sound like he said anything bad. Liv Little Nav said he didn't say anything scandalous. Nefeta Pri says, go to Fox News, they have the entire transcript. Okay, thank you so much. I will. Is it still up? Monroe Taylor says, hello. I remember years ago someone pranked Call the Queen and it was aired everywhere. Wana says, thank you for the truthful to the world other than others, haters and trolls. Yes, there are lots of haters and trolls out there. And I think one thing that we all strive for in everything in life is the truth. And, you know, I think in a lot of cases, the truth will always out. Whatever happens, even in a sea of lies and misinformation, the truth will always out in time. Mary says, yes, the original one was taken down. Right, I'm going to kind of scoot down a little bit. HM the King, hello, says, if it turns out to be fake, I'll be very surprised at how they managed to make it sound so much like him. The language used, it does sound like him, I have to say. I don't know, I just go back to the fact that Harry hasn't denied that the phone call is him. I actually think that this is a real hoax, a real prank. Harry has fallen victim to basically something that was very malicious in intent, because the aim of it obviously was to get some kind of really juicy information, of which Harry didn't really give. I mean, I haven't listened to the whole conversation, but certainly the bits that have made Transcript haven't really been, you know, groundbreaking, earth-shattering stuff. It's kind of stuff that we kind of already know from kind of what he would say almost. Michelle, or Michael rather, thinks it's fake. If you listen to the recording, he says things that totally Prince Harry would never say, like, I am walk. That's not even his language. I obviously haven't heard the full transcript. And of course, in terms of Americanisms, Harry has been married to Meghan, who of course will probably still be using Americanisms, even though she's, you know, been living in the UK. So maybe he's picked up on a few Americanisms, as I'm sure Meghan may have picked up on some English phrases and terminology as well. So I don't think we can completely go by that. As I said at the start of this chat, I've heard Harry speak a lot. I was listening more to the tone, the inflections in the voice, the elongation of the vowels. Royals tend to speak in a particular way, and if it was a hoax, the person doing the voice did an incredible job with all of the little intricacies, the inflections, the elongated vowels that posh people in this country usually give. That kind of little earthy tone at the bottom of the, is it called resonance of the voice? That was all there. So to me, it very much sounded like him. Even though, obviously, through a phone, through a recording of a phone, the voice may be slightly distorted. Right. Now, I think we need to move on, because obviously we will await Prince Harry's camp to properly respond to this. Obviously, that they've told the media they're not commenting, but maybe in time they might reveal something. Or maybe even they may press charges. They may take legal action against these Russian hoaxers. But for now, I think we're going to leave this story where it is. I think everybody is going to have their own opinions on whether they think it's fake or whether they think it's real. But the fact is, that is the transcript of a conversation that has been released by Russian pranksters, claiming it to be Prince Harry, and Prince Harry's camp, when asked, has declined to comment. That is the truth as we know it at this moment in time. It is now up for you guys, I suppose, to make up your own minds, as I'm sure you will. The next news is that Harry has been seen at Buckingham Palace. I think it's referring to today. He was actually seen at Buckingham Palace. So that obviously indicates that Meghan has flown back to Canada. And I think there were reports that Harry and Meghan had flown back to Canada straight after the Commonwealth Day service on Monday. So the fact that we've seen Harry kind of indicates that Meghan flew back by herself to be reunited with Archie, and Harry has stayed to tie up some loose ends. There will still be meetings in the UK about winding down their office, which formally closes on the 31st of March. And of course that concludes their transition and then begins their 12-month review. And it's also believed that when they were spotted at the Goring Hotel for lunch, it was also a lunch for staff, to say goodbye to their staff. And apparently it was quite emotional. People that were there have said that it was quite emotional. You know, a few tears were shed. Apparently Harry and Meghan were really, really good employers, and the staff really, really liked working for Harry and Meghan. They would do random things like getting ice cream vans to come in and lots of fun stuff. So, you know, I think it will be a bit of a wrench for the staff to not be working with Harry and Meghan. But Harry and Meghan said their emotional goodbyes, and, you know, I think having a really nice farewell lunch at the Goring was a good way of saying goodbye, of trying to tie up some loose ends and move on with everything that's been going on. Let's read what people are saying. Catherine says Harry is still in London. I want Harry's phone number. I need some things to him. Well, maybe contact the Russians. They seem to have his phone number. Dolores says, I don't think that Prince Harry would have such a detailed phone call like that with Greta's father. We don't know. I mean, obviously, Harry has, you know, eco-credentials. And if you think you're talking to someone who can have such an impact with that, then you may talk if you think it's the real person. Harry and Meghan and other royals probably have lots of conversations with influential people who can help them with their work. We know Prince Charles from his spider messages talks and communicates with people all around the world. So this is not out of character for a royal to speak to someone in the field that they have an interest in, to try and help further the cause, which in this case is obviously eco-credentials. It's about saving the planet, which of course Harry has such an interest in, with being president and Meghan being vice president of the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, having a role in the Commonwealth. For me, it fits. It fits that he would be speaking to Greta. But I would have hoped the real one, not this fake one. Nancy says, which tiara today? It is the Diamond and Sapphire Queen Victoria tiara. At says he didn't say anything untrue or embarrassing. What's interesting is Russia, Trump from the Fox News Connection. I agree. I think the Russians were trying to get something more out of him, and they didn't, from what I've seen anyway. He said the King's laughing at Charles meddling with his spider diamond. Yes, I mean, if you want to call it meddling, I would call it communicating. Charles likes to communicate. But if you want to look at it as meddling, then, you know, hey, sometimes high-profile royals, high-profile people, you know, they can't do it alone. They need other people behind them, you know, who know the sector that they're trying to represent, that they're trying to make change, that trying to affect change in. And that's kind of all that's on my notes for today. And yes, it did happen to the Queen before too. Annie says, no one holds that much of a long conversation without asking who's on the other line. No, he thought it was Greta and her father, and it wasn't one long conversation. This was over 2 phone calls. It was over New Year's Eve, and it was on the 22nd of January. Obviously, in the transcript, they've muddled up the conversations. We can kind of work out, I think, at what time point they were. But yeah, this is kind of, it's all amalgamated, I think, into one phone call. But yeah, it was over 2. It was over 2. And 2 very different dates as well. New Year's Eve and January the 22nd. Kathy says, I agree, nothing in the transcript that isn't commonly known. I think it's all a prank. Monique says, you sound as if you truly believe. Like I said, I've said all the reasons previously, prior to in this video, as to why I think it could possibly be true. Again, we wait for Harry's camp to make some kind of comment on it, whether it was true or a denial that it wasn't. A denial would obviously prove that it was fake. But I think not saying anything, especially when things have not been true before, they have... Bless me. And no, that is not the thing. That was a bit of dust going up my nose because I felt it tickle. So yeah, no, they have obviously, you know, disputed things in the past when untrue things have been said, and they haven't so far. So we await. We will await. Yes, bless me. Bless me. And no, it's not the thing that I can't mention on here. It was a dust. I actually felt the dust go up my nose. Anna says, you sneezed on the truth. Rin says, going forward, I think Harry will take further precautions before having such candid conversations. Yeah. I have no idea how they got his number. They are fake. They are probably hackers. They probably hacked into it and got the number. Right, and that is everything for today. I've been on 36 minutes, so in the interest of trying to keep things a little bit more concise, I am going to disappear and vanish and probably have my evening meal. I'm not sure yet. So, if you've enjoyed this video, and I know it's been one where people are going to have their varying opinions, and I'm sure you're all going to tell me what your opinions are in the comment section below. So I look forward to hearing what your comments are, regardless of what they are. So yeah, I welcome your comments, I welcome your thoughts, I welcome your opinions, and if you can find me the link to the whole conversation, please post it, and I will of course go and watch the whole thing, or listen to the whole thing. So if you've enjoyed this chat, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please make sure you are, of course, subscribed to the channel. So from me, in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.